Reveals, shocking delays, and unexpected comebacks. This week in Hollywood and Marvel is packed with updates that will blow your mind. From movie delays to the latest Marvel insider news, let's dive into the headlines that every fan needs to know. Brad Windborn, who is now the head of Marvel Television and Marvel's animation department, recently said he's interested in working on Ghost Rider, most likely as a TV show. Windborn specifically mentioned that he wants to explore the era of Danny Ketch's Ghost Rider, not Johnny Blaze, which is quite interesting. Usually, when we think of Ghost Rider, only two things come to mind: Nicolas Cage and a flaming skull. So, it kind of makes sense to explore something new. According to sources, the show will start filming in 2025, and interestingly, Chandler's contract doesn't include any movie clauses. Speaking of more intriguing news, there's an update on the DC Lantern show. You might remember that a few days ago we mentioned that they were casting Hal Jordan for the show, and it seemed like Josh Brolin was in the running for the role. However, new rumors suggest that Brolin has turned down the project, most likely after having a conversation with Ryan Reynolds. Now, it seems they've found a new actor for the role, none other than Kyle Chandler. If you're confused, Chandler is the actor who played the father of Eleven in Godzilla vs. Kong. This means his story could begin and end within the series itself. It's also said that the Lantern show will be in a true detective style, exploring a space-based story that starts on Earth. We'll see a more mature Hal Jordan, who's reluctant but forced into action. On the other hand, Zach Kreger, who directed the movie Barbarian, and if you haven't watched it yet, you're missing out on something terrifying and strange, has now been picked up by Sony Pictures to direct the next Resident Evil movie. Looks like we might have to start a weekly Sony segment now. Moving on, the trailer for Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan's upcoming vampire-based movie, Sinners, was released. If you haven't checked it out, all I have to say is, hail and field, yeah, it's about vampires that suck blood. I know that's more than 3 words. Next, Todd Phillips, the director of Joker 1 and Joker 2, was recently asked how his Joker would react if he came face to face with Batman. Phillips responded that after meeting Batman, Joker would simply admire him, like every other Joker, and then eventually get beaten up. Phillips was also asked about casting Harvey Dent in his movie, and whether it had any logical explanation. He joked that they needed a lawyer since they're making a courtroom drama with Joker, so why not pick one from DC Comics? It's also being reported that Agatha all along is Marvel's least expensive show. It feels like they spent almost nothing on it. Literally, in the first episode, the poor character didn't even have enough clothes to wear. On the other hand, I was excited for Hellboy, the Crooked Man, even though I knew the movie might bomb, but that's a different kind of excitement. Finally, it has been released, though not as you might expect. It's showing in very limited theaters in the US. But the story doesn't end there. 2 weeks after its release, it'll be available digitally, so you can catch it soon enough. Now for another exciting piece of news. Marvel is reportedly bringing in a new Venom for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but not in the way you're thinking. Remember the 2 drops of Venom left behind in No Way Home? Well, they're going to use that to create a new Venom, but it won't be Eddie Brock this time. Instead, it'll be Mac Gargan, a character you've already seen in Spider-Man: Homecoming. He was never mentioned after that, but now we might see him as Venom in the upcoming Spider-Man movies. Yes, Scorpion is going to become Venom, and if you think this is just a mess, it's not. In the comics, besides Eddie Brock, Mac Gargan, aka Scorpion, bonds pretty well with the Venom symbiote, and he looks absolutely wild as Venom. If you thought Eddie Brock's Venom was intense, this one's going to be on another level. But the fun doesn't stop there. I think today's video should be renamed to Weekly Sony Roast because it seems like Sony is in the mood to piggyback off Marvel's success. The rumor is that when Marvel reboots its universe after Secret Wars, Sony's universe will also get a reboot. Someone please tell them that changing schools won't stop them from failing their exams. Moving on, our favorite OnlyFans star, Beauty Mio, made another statement. This time, he shared a story. He said that Multiverse of Madness, the one you all watched, wasn't originally planned the way it turned out, unlike the other movies. The original idea was that after WandaVision, Wanda would still be dealing with her pain and grief, and Doctor Strange, Wong, and America Chavez would help her. But that's when Nightmare would enter the picture and tell Wanda about the vast multiverse, showing her all the different lives she could have had. This would lead her to explore the multiverse. However, the twist didn't end there. It would later be revealed that Doctor Strange wasn't who he seemed. He was actually Nightmare himself. And if you thought that was the final twist, guess again. By the end, Wanda would snap and decapitate Wong. But then Marvel replaced Scott Derrickson with Sam Raimi and told him to tone it down, because if they killed off Wong now, they'd have to find cheap actors for the next movie. If you've played Rocksteady's Batman Arkham series and have been craving a good Arkham game, your prayers have been answered. Rocksteady is reportedly working on a new Batman game, and the rumor is that Sony is willing to pay a hefty amount for its exclusivity. So, after 14 years, when it finally releases on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, it'll be all fun and games, though it would be great if they could improve the visuals too. After the announcement of the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, titled Ghost of Something, which looks absolutely mesmerizing, although they'd never say it like that, I thought I'd let you know. Moving on, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is also in the works. It's being said that the shooting may have already started or will begin very soon. They've cast the villain, and his name is Matthias Schnauzer, or something like that. Matthew will be playing the role of the villain, a character from the Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow comic series, and if they nail this, it's going to be an exciting watch, though not a light one. Expect this movie to be quite dark when it releases on June 26, 2026, right after Doomsday. Hideo Kojima, the mastermind behind Death Stranding, Metal Gear Solid, and several other classics, recently revealed that many studios approached him to turn Death Stranding into a live-action movie with massive budgets and lots of big explosions. However, Kojima decided to go a different route and chose A24 to handle the project, staying true to his story. Speaking of Kojima, he's currently at his creative peak. On another note, a RoboCop TV show is being developed for Prime Video, with Peter Ocko, known for Black Sails and The Office, as the showrunner. The most interesting part? It's being produced by James Wan. If this show has anything like the vibe of The Boys, we're in for a wild ride. Meanwhile, Joseph Quinn, who's playing Johnny Storm, aka Human Torch, in Fantastic Four, was asked how his preparation is going. He humorously replied, "Great. I pour oil on myself every day and set myself on fire. Although I'll skip making a joke here because it might land me in trouble. And lastly, if you ever get cheated in love, just push them away, walk off, and say, forget you." Anyway, that wraps up this week's news. If you didn't enjoy this one as much, just know that I'm a bit tired, which might have come across in the video. But if you don't like the video, you'll fail your exams too because, let's be honest, you're already failing.